Outbreak. A movie that starts as an illness-type thriller and turns into a...
No.
And it turns into a dilemma whether or not we should firebomb a small California town.
I honestly think, we talked about this, I honestly think this movie started out as a love story. And they were like, the studio said, no, this is too generic. And it's...
What's the most drastic thing we could do to bring them together?
Pandemic.
And that's what it feels like. It starts out as a... Well, you know, they show, like, a small village of, like, American soldiers that have been...
No, it's not a village of American soldiers.
They're soldiers.
No, it's an African village.
No. I'm talking about at the very, very beginning, because that's where the original strain came from. Remember?
Yeah, but I mean, they were in Africa.
Yeah, they were in Africa. But it was still... Anyway, that's besides the point. It starts out, all of a sudden, they firebomb this village, everyone dies, and you're like, oh, okay. Immediately jump cuts to fidelity problems that Dustin Hoffman and Rene Russo were having. Which is insane.
Which continues to be the backdrop throughout the rest of the movie.
He keeps getting her back, and he keeps bringing up the dogs. He's like, it's always like some serious moment, and he's like, did you put the dogs in a kennel? And she's like, what do you want me to do?
Well, let's first get into why we watched this. First of all, this is a childhood favorite for me.
For you.
This movie I saw, it had to have been when it first came out. Like, not in theaters, but like...
You probably saw it on HBO.
Yeah.
Or something, yeah.
And I remember being young. I mean, under 10.
Yeah.
And seeing it and going, I really like
this. This is what movies are.
Yeah.
It does have everything.
It really does. And I don't know, like, the concept to me, especially at the time, was like a cool concept. Like, the idea of a pandemic. It's not like it's not like a happy concept, but it's one of those things. It's like a train wreck. You can't look away.
I like that part of the story. I like the idea of there's a major pandemic. People are dying within hours of contacting this virus.
Yeah.
The problem that I have is what the movie eventually becomes, which is just, it's insanity.
Well, yeah, I mean, the ending where I still don't know what the motivation behind Donald Sutherland is.
Donald Sutherland's character...
First of all, you think he's trying to keep it under wraps because of what happened, like, they knew about it.
Yes.
And then it turns into, they want to...
basically contain the virus. They just don't want the virus spreading.
No.
Yeah.
No. He wants to weaponize it. Then...
Besides that.
No. Well, that's his ultimate... He wants to weaponize it. But after that, he really just wants to kill these people.
That whole final sequence is so wild because
they have the cure.
He's like...
First of all, they have the cure, and if they've got the cure, it means they can weaponize it.
Yes.
Still, he can still get ultimately what he wants.
He's power hungry. He wants to...
Power for what?
He wants to firebomb a town. He wants to decimate this place. The craziest part is that, like, for the final 30 minutes, it goes from, like, we are en route. We know where the host is. We're going to get the host. We can create an anti-serum. Right there, you should be like, okay, let's see how that plans out. Instead, he's like, nope, we're gonna bomb this town. Then, it's like, we capture the host.
Which is, the funny part about it is, there's a whole scene where the president's going...
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not the president, it's like the chief of staff.
Yeah, and he's like, the only
last case scenario. We need it so that no matter what...
He goes, we don't need people going out to the press saying we had this or that. He goes, this has to be one of those things that he goes, how does he phrase it? It's like even people that know the family are like,
we understand.
There was no other option.
And
apparently Donald Sutherland
walked away from that. We need to bomb this town.
Yeah, we're gonna kill them all.
It's so
immediately.
And that's where I was like, that idea popped into his head, and he was like, we just got to do it. And
the other funny part about that whole sequence was Dustin Hoffman going, why was I invited? Why was I not there?
Why was I not there? And, well, see, this is the other thing that this movie does, which is,
He's just a military doctor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's like a specialist in like kind of biochemical, not warfare, but like when there is a new virus or something, it's his job to figure out an antiserum, or B, figure out like how bad it is, or if it's easily spreadable. Like, yeah, he doesn't work for the CDC, but he basically does. Renee Russo, on the other hand,
she works for
she
CDC.
just got a job as like the head of the CDC. But this movie, it's part of what I just don't like about it. And it's honestly...
You gonna tell me all that wasn't entertaining?
Listen, I did have a blast watching it, but then the more you think about it, you're like, this movie, it's not good. And
while it may not... The acting's really good.
Well, I don't know about that. It is so over the top and so dramatic. Like, the scene that I laughed so hard at is where... Because remember, at one point, there's the pandemic of the same virus. There's one in Boston, and there's one in California. Well, they were like, we've contained the one in Boston. Everyone's good now. Everyone in this office, everyone throws up their papers, and they're like, hooray! Like, it's so generic.
That has nothing to do with the acting.
Then immediately, there's a fax that comes in. They're like, there's 15 new cases in Cedar Creek, California. And they're like, oh my God. And it's
they had just had an office party.
I know, and they're like, I'm
honestly, talking amongst the main group of actors.
I mean, Dustin Hoffman is fine. Kevin Spacey, I thought, was the best actor.
Cuba was good.
Cuba was Cuba.
You damn right Cuba was Cuba. Then, Donald Sutherland, in his madness, was great.
Well, the part...
Morgan Freeman.
See, that was my thing. It felt like, for me, Morgan Freeman was just kind of phoning it in. He was just doing Morgan Freeman work. I mean, Dustin Hoffman, every once in a while...
No, Morgan Freeman is Morgan Freeman always.
I know, but in this, there were so many times he just kind of looked dead to me. He just kind of was just like, yeah, well, whatever.
You clearly have never seen Wanted.
What are you talking about? I've seen one. I've seen a lot of Morgan Freeman movies where he's Morgan Freeman and he has a little bit of...
There's certain movies... Anyway,
I think he has a little bit more like pep in his step in certain roles, and this, he's just like...
Renee Russo, I thought was solid. I thought the main act. I really like this movie.
See, that's what I'm saying. I think there's a bit of this. There's a part of this movie that's like in your heart, and it's never going to go away. So in your mind, you're like,
and I told you this while we're watching it. I was like, this is up there. It's like there's stuff that I like that I watch, and I realize it's not a great movie, but I just enjoy it. And it's like Twister is up there.
See,
the Power Rangers the movie. That's one.
Well, I love, first of all, Twister I could see where it's like, yeah, it's kind of similar. There's like, it's like a thriller and there's some science involved. And then you were like, it's also like Power Rangers. I was like, well, I understand what you mean, that you know it's not a good movie. I would argue Twister's a semi-good movie. Power Rangers,
you don't have to argue anything.
I know, buddy.
I know all about Twister.
Anyway, it's
the extreme.
I love Twister. The first half of Twister, borderline flawless. The moment, anyway.
Dusty, why don't you explain to her why you are the way you are?
What a film! So many good actors in that movie. But Outbreak. Anyway, Outbreak is it was something that I think I was more mad that it was going in a certain direction. Like, I wanted a pandemic thriller. I wanted that, and it was starting to kind of deliver on that. But then that whole Donald Sutherland
the thing is,
something I was like, what is this?
They're trying to stop it, like with the coronavirus.
Yeah, which is why we are doing this
video.
doing
this. It is. I mean, outbreaks are relative now.
Yeah.
Sadly, like that's kind of a scary thing.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the point of this movie. Is once it's an outbreak or a pandemic, you can't stop it.
No.
And in this movie, it's about them catching it early and containing it. Where with what we're facing now, it's kind of
a little bit more widespread,
and we were too late to. It wasn't discovered.
Well, but and that was something that they discussed in this movie that I brought it to you yesterday. As deadly as the virus was in this movie, they were like, within 2 hours, you can tell if you have it or not. Mm-hmm. Because it moves so quickly.
Yeah.
Which, with the coronavirus, that's not the case. Like,
no.
it just, all of a sudden, after a couple days, hell, even a week, all of a sudden you have it, and then you have it. But see, like, I liked them showing how it spread, even though there were some scenes where it showed them spreading it. You're like, what idiots? You know, like, what are you doing? Like, Patrick Dempsey
kissing his girlfriend. He looked like he was on a deathbed.
He looked like he just got done with a severe heroin bender. And he was coming off the plane. He was like this. The girlfriend should have been like, we need to take you to a hospital now.
Yeah.
Instead, they full-on tongue kiss. And you're like, what are you doing? Like, what an idiot.
Like, tongue kiss and the camera spinning. Yeah. And, I mean, it's...
Patrick Dempsey, I also love that he's, like, one of the... Besides the main four, I guess, like Rene Russo, Spacey, Hoffman...
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Dempsey's like one of the first build, and it's like, that dude is in it for... I mean, I guess he's important to the movie because he's the reason it spreads.
Yeah.
But I just found it crazy because I was like, he's in this for like 10 minutes.
It would have probably spread anyway, but he's...
Well, no, because he was selling the monkey illegally. The monkey was in that, like, biochemical, like, testing facility, and he was able to steal it, and he took it to America.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, he was the catalyst.
Yeah.
Which then, the monkey scratched the pet owner, the other monkey...
Well, the pet store owner.
Pet store owner. The other monkey...
Dipsy got water in his face.
Oh, God. And I will say, when things are first spreading, it is disgusting. And part of me is like, oh, these people are idiots, or like, this is so crazy it wouldn't happen. Then it's like, no, stuff like this probably would happen. Because that's just how things spread.
Yeah. And in this movie, again, it's so quick. Like, people are like, oh, I've got the flu. And then all of a sudden, like, within 24 hours, they're dying.
Well, that was another thing that blew my mind, was the guy he was working at, like, that medical test facility where there was the vial of blood of someone that had been contaminated, and he was too busy watching a baseball game. God, this shit pissed me off. He was too busy watching a baseball game, and he, like, cut himself. Basically, like, it was those things where test tubes go in so they can, you know, pull blood away from like the chemicals that are in the blood or whatever. I forgot what the thing is called. But he, like, sticks his hand in there, and while it's still running, and he didn't know it was still running, and it cuts him, and he gets contaminated. He goes to the doctor. The doctor's like, I'm sure you're fine. He sends him home. I was like, what? That guy's an idiot. Sends him home, and instead of, like, you know what, how about I lay low?
And they kind of know what they're dealing with.
So instead of laying low and being like, how about I just kind of quarantine stay in for the night.
Go to the movies.
I'm going to go to the movies.
And while he's at the movies, he is not well.
No, clearly. Like, he is...
And how do you not put two and two together before that point?
Yeah.
Like, you know what you're dealing with? You're about to die.
Yeah. Well, and that was something else that I was like, he clearly... I mean, going to the movies is not like a couple-hour ordeal. Like, it showed him arriving to the movies looking sick. The moment I come down with, like, a head cold, I'm like, I'm going to stay in.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to go to the movies. This guy apparently was just...
Well, he had a hot day.
Yeah, I was about to say, he was focused. He was like, this is going... I'm getting it in. And that's what happened.
Yeah, he was on a mission.
And then he proceeded to bumble and stumble through a crowd full of people.
Water,
and then passes out.
And everybody freaks out.
They're freaking out. Next scene, this also drove me crazy. Same doctor that was like, you're going to be fine. He was like, we caught it early. He was like, I don't think he knows what they caught.
No.
He was like, don't worry, you're good. We caught it early. The guy dies like a scene later. Like, that was the part of this movie where it was like, there were so many dumb decisions that because of that, it kind of makes for an entertaining movie. And
the only reason that one is head and shoulders for me dumber than the rest is, like, Dempsey's, like, they had no idea.
Dempsey, I will give Dempsey that, but his girlfriend was dumb.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe she was looking for him to get it in.
Well, they were a couple that
had been apart.
They had been apart, and then apparently
you don't look good. And like
I
immediately.
know. And he might as well have just thrown up in her mouth. That's how disgusting he looked. I mean, I'm trying to... Other things... a scene that I vividly remember as a child. Because I've seen this movie maybe like... Including what we just watched, maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yankin' and Bankin'?
Yankin' and Bacon. That was what... Yankin' and Bacon was what Cuba Gooding described as his helicopter flying style. Which I don't think is a good thing. But...
I don't know, but that's a new term for
That's
me.
a new catchphrase, I will say.
For the rest of my life,
just Yankin' and
Bankin'
is... It's semi-sexual, but also could be like, I'm here for a good time. But a scene that I vividly remember was the moment Dustin Hoffman realizes it's airborne.
Yeah, it is. It's
and that was something I liked. I was like, I like seeing...
When involving the pandemic portion and like
that's not bad.
No, their investigation of it.
Yeah, it's overly dramatic, but I can get into that because it's like this story is kind of cool.
Yeah, like the story of him and Cuba and Spacey
and
Rene Russo. They're besides the love story, which is really weird because through the whole movie that's the undertone.
And then it's funny.
But besides that, when they're on screen, what's happening is pretty entertaining.
Yeah,
to watch.
it's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, also another thing about the love story, it's like from the moment go, you know they're going to get back together because as the movie goes on, he'll talk to her and she's like smiling a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like they're a little bit more flirtatious, and you're like, this pandemic's going to get them back together. And then of course he takes off his helmet so that she can touch him just to prove that I have an anti-serum that's being made right now. What if that wasn't the host? What if there was a monkey out there and they got it and it was like, you're gonna die now?
And it would. I guess he was going for a Notebook scenario.
I guess he was just like, this is for better or for worse. I'm gonna let you touch my face. One last thing that was just supremely dumb for a character, and I understand a motivation behind it because a character may not want to believe that they have it. But the moment Kevin Spacey was exposed, this is a guy that works in this facility that knows how dangerous this virus is.
And like was talking, and you perceived him as like a vet. Like he was like he'd been doing this a little while.
But he was so kind of cocky, which Spacey, I mean, terrible human being, but he is a good actor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't like him, but everything he's in, he's really good. And in this is no different. But it's that scene where he's exposed, he should have been like, y'all gotta quarantine me, like I'm exposed. But instead, it goes on for about 10, 15 more minutes, and then he passes out in the lab, and you're like, oh god, okay, this guy, you idiot. And then he proceeds to, because he starts convulsing, makes Rene Russo stab herself. There are so many elements where it's like this.
Even though I will say with the Rene Russo thing, when she's mad at herself for how stupid it was.
Well, to be fair, she did take precautions. She had like 4 gloves on underneath her huge hazmat suit.
Yeah, and she was like, I don't know why I did that. But it comes to a scene where she's like, I don't know why I did that. I don't know why. She
didn't know. She goes, I didn't know why I didn't wait, which I guess she meant she didn't know why. I don't know.
He was on the verge of passing out, and she was.
Yeah.
And they knew that, and you could also tell Spacey was kind of losing it.
It may have been the first time the writers were like, what if we make these characters a little bit more self-aware?
Yeah.
Where they were like, oh, not all these people are stupid.
Yeah.
But, no, we talked about it already, but the ending, the craziest part still, we didn't even discuss the craziest part about the Donald Sutherland bit, which is Cuba and Dustin Hoffman are trying to get in the way of the flight path, because they're in a helicopter, to get in the way of the flight path of the plane, so that
that's about to firebomb
this town.
And
if they divert the plane a little bit, because it has to drop at a certain time.
Yeah.
So the plane has to swerve out of the way. Bomb drops over the ocean. Okay, mm-hmm. You would think at that point Donald Sutherland would go, okay, let's see if this anti-serum works. You know what the first thing out of his mouth is? Come back and reload. He now wants to.
He's doubling down.
Yeah, he's doubling down, and that's where I was like, oh god. And of course, everyone working for Donald Sutherland is just fed up with him. Yeah, I mean, they were fed up with him 40 minutes before the movie was over. And then they finally had the balls to be like, you are a madman. We're arresting you.
I do like the Donald Sutherland thing to me that just got me was he like left that meeting and it was like all he heard was blow up this town.
No,
it was that there's a possibility they're gonna let me blow up this town,
and I'm gonna do.
He got rock hard.
That's it. Honestly, that is exactly what happened.
He was like, I'm gonna get to blow up a town.
He literally.
I'm gonna get to blow up a town.
All he heard, they were like only last case resort.
Yeah.
Should we bomb this town? And all he heard was, we need to bomb this town.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right. I mean, it'd be different if he saw like if there was a press statement or something. He was in this meeting where I think it's J.T. Walsh, awesome character actor, who is like, spends at least 3 real minutes going through every scenario as to where, like, if there is any shadow of a doubt, like, we need to investigate, or if there's any hint of like we can solve this, we need to investigate this. It literally needs to be like 100%. We have to bomb this town, and at this point, it's like 1% we should bomb this town. No, it's 0%. They have the anti-serum.
Yeah.
And he's like, we still need to bomb the town. It made a movie that was already kind of
what I don't understand is what happened to everybody else in that room.
I know. Were they not held responsible too? Especially when they hear that like, oh, there's a bomb dropped over the ocean. I mean, it was like, they should be like, oh, Donald Sutherland's, he's gone off the deep end. like what
for real? Where was everybody? This was a whole
it was a staff of people.
Yeah.
That at any point should have been in the rooms with Donald Sutherland that had equal power as him. Mm-hmm. That should have been like, no. They have anti-serum. What are you doing? Like he hated Dustin Hoffman from the get.
Yeah.
He was so because the moment he was like, we have to keep it secret from Dustin Hoffman that we've had this virus, like we've figured out about this virus before. Okay, Dustin Hoffman eventually figures it out because Morgan Freeman has to tell him. Donald Sutherland then seems not as mad that it doesn't even seem phased that Dustin Hoffman now knows about that. He's more mad at Morgan Freeman for not arresting him on the spot. Like, he was so... And they kept trying to send him to different places where it was like, you're needed in this town in Arizona. Where he's like the head of this, like you said, medical doctor trying to figure things out, where the potentially biggest pandemic ever is in this small town in California.
Yeah, people were dying.
And
you caught it. Yeah, and you were dead within like 2 or 3 days.
No. It may, honestly...
No, you came down with flu-like symptoms. That was the thing. You came down with flu-like symptoms, and then...
Well, think about it. Dempsey gets water in his face, releases the monkey. No, water in the face, pet store, drives back, releases the monkey, gets on the plane.
Yeah.
He takes a red eye, and then they're admitted to the hospital the next morning. Both him and his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So, honestly...
24 hours, I mean, that's a day.
I'll give it a day.
Yeah, still. That's a day before you're admitted, and then 48 hours before you're dead.
Yeah, still.
Yeah.
And for some reason they're like, this primo medical doctor, you're needed in Arizona. That was so crazy, and it's like that. There's no way that would happen. You put aside your differences. You're like, how about we try and save these people?
Yeah.
But instead, Donald Sutherland just let's
that was my takeaway.
Let's kill everyone.
It wasn't necessary.
No.
That being said, it was entertaining television.
I mean, listen.
You gonna tell me you didn't have a good time watching this?
There were elements I had a good time watching this. This movie's terrible. The moment it said the end, I was like, God, this movie's terrible.
Oh, how does it end?
Well, let's see. It's
no. What is the fucking line?
Oh, it was like it ended so abruptly because Renee Russo wakes up and her face is not as flushed anymore.
Oh yeah, he asked, "Would you do it again?"
And she says, basically saying, "Would you do all this again?" Because like we're kind of like a thing again. And she's like, "Maybe." The end. And I was like, "What?" Your answer A should be no. I don't want to do this again. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, is the movie poorly made?
I don't know. I think it was. I think the directing
Well,
was pretty
Wolfgang
good.
Peterson has made decent movies, but he's also made some crazy ass movies. Like he's known for
this one.
like this one, but he's done like he did Das Boot and he did The Neverending Story. He did In the Line of Fire, that movie with Clint Eastwood and John Malkovich. Like those are 3 really high quality movies. But then he did Outbreak, which is so crazy. And then, like you said, the acting, I guess, for what they were going for, it's like so overly dramatic, but it's not like.
But I mean,
I don't know, man. There are just some scenes that are just not good.
Well, that's writing though.
Yeah. The writing, I don't know what the fuck. They literally should have just focused on the science, and it would have been just as thrilling and entertaining. But that's just me.
No, we had to have a madman.
We need to have crazy ass Donald Sutherland. Okay, I give this like, I think I would give this like a C-. I mean, like, there were elements that were entertaining.
I had so much
I know
fun.
you do, bud. And I think it's because it's nostalgia, because this movie's terrible.
I give this a B.
Okay, all right, man.
It's worth a watch. It's on Netflix. If you have time, and you're not going to the movies because of the coronavirus.
Well, no, and because the movie's so crazy, it may actually tamper your fears, because it's like, well, the coronavirus is nowhere near as bad as this.
No, the death rate on this, like coronavirus, where it's close to 4%,
like
give or take.
It's super low percent. No one in this movie was surviving.
No, you caught this virus, you were dying.
You were dead.
Yeah.
And so, like, you watch this and it's so crazy, but you know, you're like, well, this is nowhere near. Like, yeah, a pandemic is nothing to joke about, but this movie,
At least it's not this.
it's not this.
And we don't have a U.S. government that's looking to firebomb.
We don't know that.
I just want to hit the button.
I just come on. I want to blow up this town. And it also.
You gonna miss it?
Oh my god! Okay. Would you miss it? Would you miss it? It's Tim Robbins.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Debating to blow up the moon.
The moon. And also,
We can't blow up the moon, sir.
Would you miss it?
Would you miss it?
Would you miss it? But yeah, I think this movie's terrible. I also might watch it again. You know, like, because it is there.
It's worth it.
It's a movie that, like, we watched it on a Sunday afternoon, and it was. I told you there were parts of it that are kind of comforting, because there are certain movies that you do just want to sit back and watch, because you're like, this is so stupid and dumb, but you kind of have a good time.
Oh no, you're not supposed to. It's not something I sit there and take seriously.
I know, but
It's just something I enjoy watching.
Usually there's certain movies like this that I can really get into and say, like, no, this is like, I feel that way about Twister. Twister, I look at it, I'm like, yeah, it has its flaws and it's ridiculous, but I think this is a really pretty good movie. Where this, I don't. I was like, this movie's terrible.
He's not in it for the science, he's in it for the money.
That son of a bitch. But yeah, that's our take on Outbreak.
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
Watch it.
Watch it. I guess watch it.
People are watching it. It's on the most watched.
It is on, like, popular movies. But yeah, just stay home, watch this, wash your hands every once in a while, and avoid touching your face. So, yeah, that was our take on Outbreak.
We're just yanking and banking.
Just yank and bank, and have a great time. We'll catch you later.